So hi everyone, thank you for the introduction. My name is Richard, and today I'm going to be talking about social anxiety. So we've all experienced this emotion before. Social anxiety is something that's very important in our lives. It happens so much, and in situations such as public speaking, like right now, or in meeting new people, you might feel a lot of social anxiety. So many of you guys in this room today are doing some public speaking. So if you take a look around, you might see some people who look like this, who are nice and calm, not too anxious, right? But if you look at someone like me, I look a bit more like this. So why are there these individuals in the experience of social anxiety? Well, to address this issue, we have to look at some personality factors, and specifically, I want to be talking about shyness and sociability. Shyness refers to the inhibition one might experience in the presence of others. Someone who's extremely shy might describe themselves as socially awkward. These people have trouble holding eye contact over time, and they feel tension in the presence of strangers. Sociability, on the other hand, refers to a desire to affiliate with other people and to spend time with them. Someone who's very social might want to meet new people whenever they're given the chance, and they prefer working in groups rather than alone. But the interesting thing is that these two factors are actually uncorrelated with each other. That is, you can be any combination of these. That leaves us with four main personality types, and there's one type in particular that might be prone to social anxiety, and that is our high shy, high social group, right? These people are very driven to meet with other people, and they want to find social acceptance, and yet this becomes a very daunting task if you find yourself awkward and you find yourself inhibited around others. So there's this inherent conflict in their desires of personality. So if we take a look at the behavioral data here, there's one study conducted where they paired people up based on their personality combinations of shyness and sociability. And we find that they exhibit behaviorally more social anxiety. So these people are graphed on the left with the blue bar, and then on the right bar, we compare it to every other personality type. So shy and sociable people spend less time talking overall. They make less eye contact with each other, and they engage in more self-manipulative behaviors, such as fixing their hair or touching their face. So now we see there's this difference in personalities and in their behaviors. How does this map onto the brain? And to address this, we might look at electroencephalography, or EEG studies. So that's me, and that's an EEG cap. It's a set of electrodes that sits on your scalp, and it's a nice and non-invasive way of looking at your brain waves and brain activity. And as you can see, it's also very fashionable. So before we relate this back to social anxiety, let's look at some background of frontal lobe EEG. So on the left hemisphere of your frontal lobe, you might see some emotions mapped onto there, such as joy, happiness, and anger. And you can broadly categorize these as approach tendencies, right? If you're joyful or happy, you might want to go up to someone and hug them. If you're angry, you might want to do something else, but either way, you want to approach. On the right, you have fear, sadness, and aversion. Now, this is kind of the opposite, in which it's the tendency to want to withdraw. So how do the brains of people of each personality combination look like using EEG? So we find that low shy, high social people have a very strong approach tendency on their left side. They have a lot of activity in their left hemisphere of the frontal lobe. Conversely, someone who's high shy, low social is very withdrawn. They are highly active in their right frontal lobe. Now, the next two get a bit more interesting. If we look at the brains of people with low shyness and low sociability, they're hypoactive overall, so they're not particularly compelled to do any approach or withdrawal. And most interestingly, the high shy and high social group is very active in both their hemispheres. So what does this tell us? Well, they're conflicted, right? They want to approach because they're sociable, but they also want to withdraw because they're shy. So we see that this conflict actually maps cleanly onto the brain. So ultimately, conflict is what leads to social anxiety. And social anxiety is caused by this conflict. Ultimately, you have to remember that social anxiety is just an emotion, though. Through practice, like learning a musical instrument or studying for a test, we can learn to overcome this and deal with it better. Our personality factors and our physiological factors may predispose us to think and behave in certain ways, but at the end of the day, we're still in control. Just remember, your emotions don't control nor define you. Rather, okay, cool. But yeah, just remember, your emotions don't control nor define you. Rather, we are the masters of our own outcomes. Thank you.